Chegnopa, and the leader of the NGC, Honorable Kande Yumkela, and the leader of C4C, Honorable Emerson Lamina, is also standing there waiting on the arrival of the president. We're here at the forecourt of the Parliament building, where guests, ministers, I've seen a lot of ministers, the Minister of Trade, the Minister of Information, the Chief Minister, Honorable JJ Safa is here, the Minister of Finance, I saw himself and the Minister of Finance, they stood for some time, they were talking. I can imagine they might be speaking about the economy. Honorable Tawa is also here, and the members of the SLPP are taking a lot of photos. Seems like they are very, very excited. So today looks like their own day. Well clad in their white and green striped, African dress, all looking good, waiting to clap and celebrate the president and the leader of their party, the SLPP. Otherwise, the members of the opposition, the APC, I can see some of them with their red berets, which is becoming part of their dress now. The one they wore some time ago when they protested and walked out of Parliament. You can see them having their red APC berets. Some are putting on their coats with their red tie. Some are in Africana dress. They're waiting for His Excellency the President as well, and possibly listen to what he will be telling them. It's going to be a long day, I suppose. It will be a very, very long day. This is the fourth session of the fifth Parliament of the Second Republic of Sierra Leone. And when the President arrives from that point, when he'll be received by the Speaker and leadership of Parliament, he'll move all this way on the red carpet and inspect the guard of honor up to that point, and he'll go down, inspect the guard of honor, and come up again for the salute, I suppose. And then the leadership, the Speaker, the clerk, and the leadership of Parliament will take the President to the Chamber of Parliament, where he'll be making his statement. We've been used to very long statements, I would say. We've even had a time when the president, spoke for like 3 hours, addressing issues of his government, achievements, challenges, and things he's looking forward to be doing as president of the country. So with 3 years in governance, so many things have happened, and one might think today will be another long day. The president will have to catalogue his achievements, what he has done in the economy, infrastructure, the mining sector, tourism, education, which is his flagship program. We all love the free quality education, which is very proud of and always talking about human capital development. Youth activities, we've heard about the youth farm projects, and at any time from now, we're expecting the president. We've just been alerted. It seems the president is almost on his way to arriving at the House of Parliament, where he'll be for the fourth time, 3 years since he became President of the Republic. The Clerk of Parliament is addressing members of Parliament. I don't know what he's telling them. He's addressing both APC members and SLPP members, and that of NGC and C4C and independent members of Parliament as well. He's speaking to them. We will not know what he's saying, but I suppose he might be telling them to get ready, as the president will be arriving at any moment from now. And the leadership of the House of Parliament are all standing at the entrance into the Well of Parliament, waiting for the arrival of His Excellency the President. You are watching and listening to AYV Television. We broadcasting live from the forecourt of Parliament, where the Vice President is already seated, other dignitaries, members of Parliament, they are all waiting the arrival of His Excellency the President, Dr. Julius Maada Bio, for the state opening of the 4th session of the 5th Parliament of the Second Republic of Sierra Leone. President Bio will be delivering his State of the Union address today to members of Parliament and the nation as a whole. But members of Parliament here are actually the people's representative, and you have Paramount Chief Representative as well, members of the C4C, members of NGC, members of the APC, which is the main opposition party, and members of the ruling party, which is the SLPP. And they will be listening to the president. I suppose some will be taking notes of what is of interest to them. And after the president could have delivered the statements today, the speaker will announce an adjournment of the sitting, when Parliament will recommence again and speak to the issues raised in the address by the Parliament. So, by the President, I beg your pardon. So, members of Parliament, as always, will be debating the issues emerging from the statement, the address of the President. And that will take days. It will take days. They will discuss from both sides. Sometimes it's very interesting. You know, the opposition will always be looking for the loopholes. They will be. Let me speak to the and spokesman Yusuf Keke Thomas Andi. Welcome to AYV.
Thanks so much for having me, Lama, and thank you, Sierra Leone.
What should we expect, or what should we expect to hear from the president?
Well, you expect for the president, 3 years, we've done a lot of things. But normally with the state opening, the president looks back at what we've done for the past 1 year, and then also looks forward. So it's a bit of, you are doing 2 jobs at the same time. You look back and look forward. So you expect for the president to recount all the gains we've made across MDAs and as a government, but also things that you expect that we are going to do in the next 1 year. Whether it's legislations and bringing them to Parliament, or these are their big projects, their achievements, that which we intend to make. So that will be the content of the speech of the president.
One major highlight, mostly from when leaders come to this well, one thing they always highlight is what brings us together as a nation, national cohesion. I can recall the president spoke the last time about how we are interrelated, we are intermarriages, and religious tolerance as well. Should we expect him to highlight issues about national cohesion today?
Well, of course. I mean, also the significance of this year's state opening is that this signifies our 60th anniversary. So you expect the president to start with that, about as a country, what it means to all of us, what kind of society we need. And also, like you said, peace and cohesion forms the fabric of our country. So therefore, you also expect for the president to take that narrative and that tone, because it's something that you've always done. But over and beyond that, he will also explain to you what we have done for us to achieve that. So for instance, they have now passed the Peace Commission Act. We are going to constitute the commission very soon, So these are concrete things that we have done. So it's not only about the words, but also actions back in the words.
Okay. Will you be surprised at any walkouts from the opposition today?
Well, unfortunately, something which has characterized state openings, as a government, we would not expect, or we hope they don't walk out, because at the end of it, there is a speech for the nation. And the nation includes the APC, the NGC, all of them, So it will be good, because Parliament is where people's representatives come and they discuss what the president has said. So it will be better if they sit and they listen. So even if they want to criticize, at least they have listened to the speech, they have seen what the president has said. So they will be able to be in a position to criticize constructively. We hope they don't walk out, but it's APC these days. You expect anything.
Should we expect any strong policy statements from the president on critical issues or the development of this country?
The rest assured the president is going to speak on everything.
I suppose you're holding the speech of the president.
Well, I don't hold the speech, the president has the speech, but the rest assured is going to speak on everything. Critical issues, things which obviously people care about, things which obviously will shape the future of our country. And now, Lama, when president did the media rounds, nothing was off the table. So in his speech, he's that type of leader. He speaks things which he believes in, even though sometimes people would not want to hear. but that is his position. He makes it clear.
Finally, should we brace up for a very long speech? I remember the last time the president came, we spent like 4 hours. Should we look forward to that?
It's always the most amazing thing to listen to your president. So even if it takes 5-6 hours, for us it's a blessing. So the nation as well. But be rest assured, he's going to speak from his heart, and he's going to speak in a way that will connect to ordinary people.
Thank you very much, Yusuf Keke Thomas Sandi. He's the press secretary and presidential spokesman. You've heard from him. It's always exciting to listen to the president. I can imagine how many Sierra Leoneans across the country and across the world are hooked onto AYV presently in whatever way, waiting to hear from His Excellency the President on what he'll be saying today. Highlight from what Keke Thomas says is that the President will be speaking to a lot of policy issues, a lot of what is achieved in the past 1 year and what he's looking forward to doing as a president. What should Sierra Leoneans expect as president of this nation? The leaders of Parliament are still waiting for the arrival of His Excellency the President. They are all out there waiting on his arrival. Okay, I've just been notified by my producer that the leader of the main opposition has not been seen at that point where the other leaders. I can see Honorable Kande Yumkela, I can see the Speaker of ECOWAS Parliament, I can see the Deputy Speaker, the leader of government business, Honorable Bashiru Siliki, and I can see as well other leaders. Okay, the leader of the opposition has come. He's there now. I can see him. He's waiting. He's amongst those waiting for the arrival of the president. The speaker is clad in his regalia as well as the clerk. They're standing close by, waiting for the arrival of the president. Today supposed to be their own day. They are receiving the first gentleman who is coming to address them, indirectly address the nation. Paramount Chief Members of Parliament are also here. Honorable Baiku is here too, and one of the most experienced long-standing members of Parliament. And I can see independent members of Parliament as well. Honorable Sheka Sama is also standing as well. And Honorable Chagnoba is standing close to Honorable Kande Yumkela. I can see the leader of government business, Honorable Matthew Numa, speaking to his deputy, Honorable Bashiru Siliki, and they are joined in that conversation by Honorable, the Honorable of C4C from Kono, who is joining them in the discussion, Honorable Emerson Lamina. And I can see the Deputy Speaker of Parliament as well, Honorable Sengepo Solomon Thomas. He's speaking to the Speaker, who looks all ready to receive His Excellency the President. The Chief Minister is by their side, Jacob Jusu Safa. I can imagine what they're discussing, what they're talking presently. I can see smiles and laughs from their faces as they interact. The Clerk of Parliament, Honorable Paran Tarawali, is by the side of the Speaker. He's not into that discussion, but he's getting himself ready as they look forward to receive His Excellency the President. On this other side, you can see some conversation going on. The Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, Honorable Tunis, he was interacting with Honorable Chegnoba and that of the leader of government business, Honorable Matthew Nima. Honorable Chegnoba has moved to the Speaker. He's speaking to the Speaker, Honorable Abbas Bundu. A few weeks ago, you could imagine, these gentlemen were at par on issues. At the Bintumani Conference Center, it was chaotic, it was tense, people were pushed, there were differences, they got at each other, but today they're all together, interacting and speaking as Sierra Leoneans and as the people's representative. The speaker came out from that event and apologized to the public that what actually happened was unfortunate, and he apologized and took responsibility and promised the nation that that won't repeat itself again. Earlier I was asking Yusuf Keke Tomasandi if there is going to be a walkout from the opposition. He said they're not expecting that. They're looking forward to them sitting, listen to the president and hear what he'll have to say, because there will come that time when they will have to debate the speech of the president. So they will have to take notes, I suppose. They will have to listen to what he's saying. They will be looking at what hasn't been achieved, supposedly, and bring out those critical issues as they always do as opposition members. The Honorable Paramount Chief PC representative from Pujaun district is there as well. The other from Moyamba district is also there as well. And members of parliament, the staff, some of the staff also standing, waiting on the arrival of His Excellency the President. The Minister of Internal Affairs is here to ensure security is in place, as well as the Inspector General of Police and Bruce Sovola. They are joined in the discussion by the Deputy Speaker, Lahai Lawrence Lima. I want to see if I can speak to some other people on what they will be expecting, but it seems everyone is on alert waiting for the arrival of the president. The military brass band giving us some sound here. They are waiting, also waiting the arrival of His Excellency the President, as the guard of honor are still standing on the sun. They are very strong men. They've been here. I met them here. They were already standing in the sun, waiting on the arrival of the president. I want to see honorable. Excuse me. Can I speak to you quickly? You're expecting the president to arrive today and address you members of parliament. What's your expectation?
Well, of course, as usual, the president is here, or is coming to address us, to tell us the state of the country, and also to tell us the plans that he is having for the next session. And we expect nothing much, but we expect that he's going to tell us good news, what he has achieved, and what he's expecting to achieve the next session. So we are very much expectant of goodies rather than promises.
So will you listen rather than walk out from his address to the nation?
Well, when necessary, you walk out, but when it is unnecessary, you don't walk out. So I see no need why we should walk out. We're going to listen, and we're going to take our notes so that we'll be prepared to debate the message he is going to tell us.
Are you expecting any good news as a Sierra Leonean, as the people's representative?
Well, that's what we all expect as citizens. But again, we all know that most times you expect good news, but you don't have the good news that you anticipated for. But however, we hope the president will tell us good news that will appease the nation, because we all know Sierra Leone, basically, we are suffering as it is currently. We hope he's going to change the dynamics, though he's having less than 2 years in governance, but we hope he is going to help in changing the lives of our people.
Thank you very much, Honorable. He's a member of the opposition, APC. You've heard from him, so they will listen. It's not important or necessary for them to walk out. They are going to listen and take notes and speak to the issues of the state. The motorcade of His Excellency the President has arrived at the House of Parliament. Security men all coming down. His motorcade is already here, and we're looking forward to his own vehicle arriving and him being received by the leadership of Parliament. The President has arrived at the House of Parliament, and he will be received. The State Chief of Protocol has arrived. Got down. The President has arrived in Parliament. The State Chief of Protocol has come down. The security is also down. The security is also down, and we're expecting the president to come down. The president has got down of his vehicle. The First Lady is here with Her Excellency, the First Lady, Madam Fatima Bio, who is accompanying her husband as they are received by the leadership of Parliament. The president is greeting the leadership of Parliament who have received him here. Just done an handshake or said hi to the leader of the opposition and greeted everyone this Tuesday morning. The president is moving to go do the guard of honor and the presidential salute as well. The president is moving slowly on the red carpet. He's moving on the red carpet. The president is moving slowly to do the guard of honor and inspection. We're bringing you live broadcast from the forecourt of Parliament, where His Excellency the President is to do the state opening of the fourth session of the fifth Parliament of the Second Republic. He's been welcomed by the military band. You're listening and watching AYV live from the forecourt of Parliament, where the presidential salute is happening, the national anthem. That's the national anthem being recited here at the forecourts of Parliament, and the president will be doing the guard of honor with the military here. I actually have to be very close with my camera operator. The president is expected to be coming down to do the guard of honor here at the forecourt of the House of Parliament, where he is visiting for the fourth time to do the state opening of the fourth session of the fifth Parliament of the Second Republic of Sierra Leone. The 3rd Infantry Brigade is providing the guard of honor. Major Charlie Moyo is the commander here of the 3rd Infantry Brigade, and he's leading the guard of honor for His Excellency the President, Dr. Julius Maada Bio. We're bringing you live broadcast from the forecourt of Parliament, where His Excellency the President is doing presidential guard of honor. Is here doing the guard of honor. President's moving slowly, inspecting the military officers who are well dressed this morning. He's led by 2 female military officers of the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces. The president, a former military man, you can see him doing the steps properly as a former military man, a former head of state, someone who served in the military himself as a retired as a brigadier This is something I suppose he loves doing, meeting with his own constituency, his own people, a place where he served once at a time, some time ago. And you can imagine the steps of the president. I can see how the president is taking his steps. I can get my camera operator to show how the president is taking his steps. You can understand and imagine that he's a former military man who actually understands how to do it. President Bio is clad in his all white traditional African attire and his black cap, which is almost known for now. You want to know who dresses the president. He moves slowly with his almost blue and it's interesting to see how the president is led by two female military officers, and I can imagine what the president will be thinking and how happy he could be, seeing this and meeting with somewhere he once served. We're bringing you live broadcast from the forecourt of Parliament, where President Bio has just finished the inspection of the Guard of Honor. He's moving up to the podium. He'll be giving the salute, I suppose, and then move to the chamber where he'll be making his speech. President take the stance again, clad in his white, having the flag on his chest. Major Moiwo is leading the 3rd Infantry Brigade. He's just moved. President just answered to a statement he made. So he's moving back to his guys. Very uniformed and well dressed. Very uniformed and well dressed military men in their red and black. Presidential salute. The president's moves, Guard of Honor ended here at the forecourt of Parliament. Moving being led by the Speaker of Parliament, and he'll be joined by his wife, the First Lady, and that of the Vice President as they move into the Chamber of Parliament. Moving slowly as the President moves to the Chamber of Parliament. We are watching live broadcast from the Parliament, where His Excellency the President has arrived and is moving. He's being moved by the leadership of Parliament. President is coming down. The House of Parliament is being led by the clerk, Honorable Parantarawali, and the Speaker, Honorable Abbas Chegno Bundu. We're bringing you live broadcast from the Well of Parliament, where His Excellency the President, Dr. Julius Maada Bio, has arrived for the state opening of Parliament. The President will move to the office of the Speaker, Honorable Chegno Bundu. Abbas Chegno Bundu is leading him into his office. I believe he'll have a short recess before he'll be led into the chamber of Parliament. This is a live broadcast from Parliament. That's the ceremonial activity. The President has arrived. The President is here. And let's see how the chamber looks like and how everyone is. This place has been ongoing some renovation. As you can see, there's been some renovation ongoing. Some time ago, members of Parliament were moved to the Bintumani Conference Center, where they were actually using as the Well of Parliament. It all looks good with MPs and their desk. You can see their names. It looks like it's been renovated. It's been well renovated here in the Well of Parliament. Looking good. Ministers of government are all seated waiting for the arrival of His Excellency the President. There has been some renovation that has been done in the well, well clad up at the seats of the Speaker. There is a seat for the Chief Justice, the First Lady, and the Vice President, and the President will be seated on that huge chair where he actually will deliver the State of the Union Address at the state opening of the 4th session of the 5th Parliament of the Second Republic of Sierra Leone. You're watching and listening live to AYV television, and wherever you are, however you're getting us, you're welcome to this day's broadcast of the state opening of the 4th session of the 5th Parliament of the Second Republic of Sierra Leone. Honorable Kande Yumkela is already seated. Let me see if we can ask him what he's looking forward to, or possibly what he's expecting to hear from His Excellency the President. Honorable Yumkela, sir, welcome to AYV.
Thank you very much.
The President is already here. What are you looking forward to? What are you expecting to hear from him?
Well, many messages. Of course, he'll give us a report card of his accomplishments over the past 1 year. He'll give us an idea of his own legislative agenda. And of course, he'll give us a good review of the state of the nation. I'm hoping to hear messages of reconciliation and bringing the country together. I'm hoping to hear messages about how the economy would be revived now that we are in the post-COVID era. And I'll be interested to hear how the vaccine rollout will be scaled up. Still in Africa, most African countries, less than 3% of the populations are vaccinated. And if we don't have that facility, the economies cannot run again.
Okay, we wish you very well. We will be speaking to you at the end of this session. Thank you very much for your time. Honorable Yumkela, the leader of the National Grand Coalition, NGC, he just told us what he's expecting and what he's looking forward to. The judges and actually coming in. They're coming in slowly. They,
Sorry, no, we different. We're throwing them into the lockdown.
Can we please take our seats for the session? Please be seated.
We don't need progress. They don't want a quick turnaround.
But the people that know say
Just like Kujo, but people like touch. To pass on people like tell them.
the provision says south.
It's now we ally them.
No, I don't change it.
So the
If
declaration.
you want to say, we are not change SGO.
So change it.
I change the SGO.
I can't put it.
No, you can't hold it on this.
No, but you know the driver participate. I know. But this is what we have to do. It's very frustrating. You know that you can't do that. Not to rely on that.
Make it three.
You can bring some pictures.
I'll face that.
Now you here.
Another tissue.
No, I want it to
Make it back. If I give tissue away from fire, it's all the sweat.
okay.
There are a good number of legislations still waiting, like the cyber law and others. We want to know what his position is on them.
Okay.
To us, it's important that we address those issues almost immediately.
And the opposition will not walk out.
We are not working out. We are not here to walk out.
Okay.
We are here to stay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Ibi Kagbo. That's the deputy leader of the opposition, APC. We are still at Parliament, where we broadcast.
That means you cannot be the watch.
maybe that's what you do. That's what you do as a
Wait a minute, look at you. I say, yeah, sure.
No, it's not.
Well, it's
There's another one.
How are you?
Oh, this is not right. That's right.
Yes. We take down the insurance.
You are then taking brother, and I didn't come up fine.
Okay.
Next time, a lot of gender, a lot of controls, ceremonies and property. Security.
Completely, they won't be the eyes.
It's always.
Oh yeah, well, you know, the thing
Nobody
is,
pays attention after the event. They are not training, not artists. Very perfect.
never go inside.
Oh, yeah. Third world project. Maybe tight body. They were tight.
No, me don't get me.
I don't want to.
See, I don't know with the talk. No, me they far from me small. No, but we I get what I meet you. You know, so we know me. I didn't know we have another people. We have another chiefdom in that list. Maybe where we be. No. Ribi is an activity. Oh, no, Ribi? Yes. Yes. We get one candidate there. We commanded it. Hold down it's not back. And I've also been a development. So now they have a tour. Because the music they are I just want to ask anybody else who really know what it is. But there is no person no. So they don't go check the notch. All the time there. Strong. So and this fellow to do it. I mean for now, we don't know the Spanish position. That we you know, so how they can cut someone back. You all will say did for me. Honestly. And this one, you see, no reason right now. We will continuously answer 2028 and go forward. The only one we will sustain this development of the but we will consistently for a period of 20 or more years for it to actually yes, minimum. All other things are rubbish. All they will collapse it. They're not going to be entrenched. The security sector and the other things will start.
Oh, yeah,
everything on them bastardize.
Those days really work.
Yes.
We drive money for
believe me, we do this to set them up.
To the police.
Yes. Then bring both of them back.
Yes.
Then water down the criteria for recruitment. All of that will bring you back. What they now is giving me space with the vex.
Every chiefdom they need. That's a build up. Bad question.
Believe me, when the police begin to do the hala, they must not move them come out. Now them come out. They're not busy. Come on.
The president is almost arriving in the chamber of parliament. You can hear the announcement. The president comes in. You're watching live broadcast. Okay, the first lady is coming in. The first lady arrives in the chamber. Awaiting the coming of.
Clap for me, but where
That's interesting. You just heard from the first lady, and she was right in front of my microphone. She just said they should clap for her. The other side of the aisle in the well of parliament, the side from the APC should clap for her because she's putting on red today. And I got her directly into my microphone. And the first lady has received an applause from members of parliament, mostly from those of the opposition. The first lady jokingly and interestingly said they should clap for her. She's putting on red today, and she's definitely putting on red and having a black head tie on. And they clapped for her. She got a round of applause from the main opposition, APC, on the other side, especially the side where he walks to as he goes up to the chamber of parliament. We are right in the well of parliament where His Excellency the President will be delivering the State of the Union address, the state opening of parliament. The Vice President, I suppose, will be coming in next. after the First Lady, and then we'll expect the President to come in. We're watching live broadcast from the Well of Parliament, where President Bio will be delivering a statement today. He will be addressing members of Parliament who are the people's representative. It has started in a good note. It started in a good note with that comment from the First Lady telling members of the opposition to clap for her. She's putting on their color, which is red. And they actually clapped as she moves up to the chamber. You know, that was a very light note and interesting note as well. The Honorable Vice President, Dr. Mohamed Jallo, is also receiving applause as he moves up to the chamber, escorted by the Clerk of Parliament, Honorable Paran Tarawali. We're bringing you live broadcast here from the Well of Parliament, where President Bio is expected to make the state opening of Parliament. Vice President moves to the chamber, and everyone is seated again, waiting for the arrival of His Excellency Dr. Julius Maada Bio. We are waiting the arrival of the President. Almost everyone well clad, well dressed here in the different colors, some in the green. It's actually dominated by green, I should say. You know, I can recall coming to this place when the former administration was in power. It was actually dominated by red to some extent, even though you have the national color, the green, white, and blue. But it was dominated because the members of Parliament were well dressed in their red, white, just like the members of the opposition, the ruling SLPP are in their white and green stripe dress today. They are all looking good. Today seems to be their day. Up the gallery, you have diplomats who are seated on the other side, and upwards, you have the military band. A packed full chamber, Well of Parliament, I should say. Some people have their mask on, some have it on the chin, and some don't actually have anything on. And we were told COVID-19 protocols should be followed. We still have COVID-19 on the ground. Well, it seems some people are excited. Some are still following the procedures. We're live in the Well of Parliament. You're watching AYV Television. You're listening to AYV Radio on FM 11.6. You're getting us also online at www.ayvnews.com. We're streaming live on Facebook at Africa Young Voices Media Empire. We're bringing you live broadcasts here from the Well of Parliament, where His Excellency the President will be delivering his address today at the 4th session of the 5th Parliament of the Republic of Sierra Leone by His Excellency the President, Dr. Julius Maada Bio. Today, Tuesday, 18th May 2021 at 10 a.m. It seems the President is already here. you, led by the speaker and followed by the clerk and other staff, the sergeants and lieutenants. It's right in front. The speaker is arriving at the chamber. It's actually the speaker who is actually moving to the chamber before the arrival of His Excellency the President. The Sergeant at Arms is going out. He's coming to place the arm on the table. We await the arrival of His Excellency the President to get started proper. It could be a good exercise for some members of parliament, standing up and sitting down. Yeah, as a clap for those coming in. President Bio became president of this republic in 2018 after he won over 50% of a rerun election actually against the opposition party, the All People's Congress. He defeated Dr. Samuel Kamara, who was the presidential candidate of the APC. Became president, and he's 3 years in his 5 years term. He's doing this for the 4th year now of the 5th Parliament of the Second Republic of Sierra Leone. And as always, the President will highlight his achievements over the year and what are his programs coming up in the mining, the tourism, agriculture, education, which is his flagship program, youth. I should keep quiet. He's here.
His Excellency, the President.
SMBO comes in, led by the Sergeant at Arms, the Clerk of Parliament. The President moves slowly in his right, and the Speaker joins him as he moves to the chamber. President is about to take his seat. As he moves to the chamber, he stands. We wait the national anthem. that we love our Sierra Leone. That's the national anthem. The president takes his seat, the vice president, and the first lady, all seated close to him as he's about to deliver the State of the Nation address. You're watching AYV television live from the Well of Parliament at Tower Hill, where President Julius Maada Bio is at the state opening of the 4th session of the 5th Parliament of the Second Republic of Sierra Leone. We are about to hear from His Excellency the President. Stay tuned, keep watching. This is AYV, bringing you the very best, the home of factual and all-time balance news. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for joining us. Continue to stay with AYV as we bring you.
For the Muslim prayers, I now want to call on Sheikh Fumba Swari to lead us.
تبارك الذي جعل في السماء بروجا وجعل فيها سراجا وقمرا منيرا هو الذي جعل الليل والنهار خلفة لمن أراد أن يذكر أو أراد شكورا وعباد الرحمن الذين يمشون على الأرض هونا وإذا خاطبهم الجاهلون قالوا سلاما والذين يبيتون لربهم سجدا وقياما والذين يقولون ربنا اصرف عنا عذاب جهنم إن عذابها كان غراما. The peace and the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon you all. The statement of protection of the Parliament of the Republic, today, Tuesday, I know I am privileged to lead the Muslim act of worship today out of the mercy and by the special grace of God, and with special acknowledgement in consonance with the choice of the Honorable Speaker of Parliament. Our nation is blessed by God to have highly ordained spiritual leaders, among whom I am not in the circle of the hierarchy, but God's choice today. And His choice is perfect. We want to thank the Almighty for our nation's most successful independence at 60. And today also we want to thank the Almighty for giving us somebody whom both the Quran and the Bible spoke of, but had a kingdom task. Moses declined to go to Egypt, but God said to him, Inni akhtartuka, I have selected you, not Pharaoh. You are my choice for this mission and the operation. Moses' task, he carried on with God, and there were no casualties recorded on his side. So today's prayer, for His Excellency, retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio, to be able to carry on his task without no casualty recorded on his side. This is the dominion of the heavens and earth. Blessed is who has placed in the sky great stars. So He has placed on our land great men to lead us the right way. And it is He who has made the night and the day in succession for whoever desire to remember or desire gratitude. Today's Syrian should be grateful to Allah for having chosen a man, a warrior, someone who worked indefatigably to make sure that Syrians are comfortable. And the servant of the most gracious are those who walk upon the earth easily, and when the ignorant address them harshly, they say words of peace. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in chapter 25 verse 60 asks that all honorable men should not address the ignorance, even those if the ignorance address you harshly, but say a word of peace to them. Oh Allah, avert our Lord, avert our land from all form of calamity, and made the land of Sierra Leone a land of peace and tranquility. His Excellency has been chosen by the God of Noah, by the God of Abraham, by the God of Moses, by the God of Jesus, and by the God of Muhammad, to carry on his enormous and everlasting task. Lord, we pray today for seed of love. We pray for ocean of love. May the nation Sierra Leone and all the chiefdom down to the villages, His Excellency found seed of love in all them. We also pray for Member of Parliament, that he may found them as comfort of eyes. And across this nation we shall have unlimited, precious and unlimited achievement all over the land. Our Lord grant him the hearts of every citizen, so that our achievements come 2023 will have no limitation. Our Lord grant him from among his citizens humble parliamentarian and the comfort of the eyes, and make him a leader, example of those at present and generation yet unborn. Almighty, we thank you for today's day. We thank you for this section. We thank you for the 5th Parliament. We thank you for the 2nd Republic. We believe that by the time His Excellency period is ended, every Sierra Leonean will be in a joyous and more cheerful mood. We thank you for the life of the Speaker of Parliament. We thank you for the life of every parliamentarian, sitting ministers, and every citizen of this soil. And may the sea of love extend beyond the border of the Manual Union, that every nation in Africa shall stand one day and say, yea, yield to Sierra Leone. If Sierra Leone shall rise one again. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Fumaswari, for the touch. For the Christian prayer, I will now call on Reverend Father Vincent Davis to lead us.
I've been fishing
And the Son and the Holy Spirit. Peace be with you. Lord God of heavens, glory be to your name. We thank you for another session of Parliament, and we dedicate its future activities to you. We thank you for the leaders you have appointed to take charge of this business, the business of this nation at this time. We thank you for each and every Sierra Leonean, home and away. We thank you for ups and downs. We thank you for where we have fallen, and you didn't let us be destroyed. We thank you for where we are rising, and you continue to allow us to succeed. We commit, O Lord, every leader into your hands. We lift up our president unto you. We lift up his heart and family unto you. We lift up the hearts of every member of Parliament and everyone that is in charge of every department and entity of this nation. We lift up all the organs of government to you. We dedicate our hearts to you. O God, who arrange all things in wondrous order and govern in marvelous ways, look with favor on the assembled, especially our parliamentarians, for whom we pray mercifully, pour out upon them your spirit of wisdom, that they may come to right judgment and decide everything for the well-being and peace of all Sierra Leoneans. And may they never turn aside from your will. Grant to Lord of all creation, to us Sierra Leoneans, the desire and willingness to always be united by a fraternal spirit. May the deliberations and decisions of this Parliament always be guided by the knowledge of your truth. We ask you to continue to be our God, God over this Parliament, God over this nation. We ask you to continue to be God over our rules and regulations. Protect us from the evil one and his agents. Protect us from the divider. Protect us from hate, division, bitterness. Protect us from every evil, and may your plans for our nation succeed. Mighty God, your words say, the Bible says, that righteousness exalts a nation. As Christians the world over await the commemoration of the descent of the Holy Spirit on Pentecost, we ask you bless our nation, our international partners, all stakeholders to the peace and progress of our nation. And may your holy name be praised, adored, and glorified, now and always. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, God, forever and ever. Amen. The 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd,
I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever.
We invoke God's blessing on our Parliament and on our land. Please bow your heads and pray for God's blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look upon us with his kindness and bring us his peace. And may the blessings of Almighty God, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit come upon us all, now and forever. Amen.
Thank you very much, Father Vincent Davis. Proclamation 2021. The Constitution of Sierra Leone, Act Number 6 of 1991. The Fifth Parliament of the Second Republic of Sierra Leone. Commencement of the Fourth Session. Proclamation 2021. In exercise of the powers conferred upon him by subsection 1 of Section 84 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone 1991, Act Number 6 of 1991, the President hereby makes the following proclamation. Now therefore, I, Julius Mada Bio, President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Supreme Head of State, Grand Commander of the Order of the Republic, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Fountainhead of Unity, Honor, Freedom, and Justice, do hereby prorogue the third session of Parliament with effect from Monday, 17th May 2021, and proclaim the commencement of the fourth session of the Fifth Parliament of the Republic of Sierra Leone at Parliament Building, Tower Hill, on Tuesday, 18th May 2021 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon. made this 11th day of May 2021. Signed, His Excellency Julius Maada Bio, President. The Honorable Vice President, sir, Mr. Speaker, my Lord the Chief Justice, Her Excellency the First Lady, Ministers, Deputy Ministers of Government, Members of Parliament, Your Worship the Mayor of Freetown, Your Excellencies, Members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, pray silence for His Excellency, the President.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Vice President, Honorable Chief Justice, Madam First Lady, Honorable Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, Ministers of Government, Honorable Members of Parliament, especially on my left, Your Worship, the Mayor of our municipality, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, development partners, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. For this 60th anniversary of our nation's independence, I propose that we redesign the pathway of our endeavor to build a Sierra Leone that works for us all. Citizens should understand their rights, roles, and responsibilities. Why it is important to abide by rules and laws. What equality and leadership means. What public accountability entails. Why respect for diversity and national cohesion matters. And what it means to care for the environment. These are essential elements of a disciplined, inclusive, peaceful, progressive, and resilient society. So today I start with human capital development. Without inclusive and sustainable development, there can be no sustainable future for Sierra Leone. We cannot forever be blinded by cosmetic and short-term infrastructure and other tokens. We must create a society where every child is nurtured, nourished, protected, and equipped with the knowledge and skills required to realize his or her full potential. That is definitely beyond ethnicity. That is beyond party politics. 60 years of independence, there can be no better tribute to our nation's founding fathers than a determination to operationalize meaningful human capital development in this country. Human capital development is not a slogan. It is inclusive. It is the key to achieving sustainable development with our own human resources, using homegrown solutions, empowering our local communities, enabling innovation, creativity, technology to bridge the development gap. COVID-19 and healthcare. Let me from the outset express our nation's gratitude to our healthcare workers, security personnel, public and private sector workers, civil society and community members, development partners, and everyone who has contributed to making us a low-risk country. We have achieved this as a result of proactive engagement, rigorous planning, central coordination, and thoughtful action that have been informed by data and expert advice. We have leveraged home-built technology solutions. We have also prioritized protecting lives and livelihoods and supported the most vulnerable of our citizens throughout our COVID-19 response. As we transition into vaccination stage, my government will take action to maintain healthcare financing at sustainable levels, continue to reduce maternal and under-5 mortality rates, recruit and train more healthcare staff, invest in quality mental care, healthcare, improve patient referral, transportation, blood services, upgrade medical and diagnostic equipment, and upgrade healthcare infrastructure. My government will work with partners to provide more hospital beds, train more midwives, and deliver advanced diagnostic services nationwide. Agriculture and food security. Consistent with the National Agricultural Transformation Program, my government remains committed to implementing programs and activities to boost rice self-sufficiency, crop diversification, livestock development, and sustainable forest and biodiversity management. My government will provide higher seed quality to achieve higher yields, establish new plantations of cash crops, and undertake comprehensive soil surveys to determine what crop type or livestock is better suited and what soil management techniques farmers may use. My government will support agriculture financing with $50 million United States dollars credit facility, e-vouchers for input and mechanization services, extension services, and make pre-positioned machine rings available to private sector and smallholder farmers across the country. The $54 million United States dollar investment in rice cultivation in the Rombe Swamp by Agro Elite LLC, and an additional $30 million secured from the Exim Bank to develop the water management and irrigation infrastructure to support rice cultivation around Tomabum are already underway. Basic and senior secondary education. More than at any time in the nation's history, more children, including girls and other excluded child populations, are now in school at no expense to their parents or guardians. have provided with free learning materials, more school facilities and infrastructure, school feeding facilities, and school buses. We have affirmed the right to education with our policy of radical inclusion that has irreversibly overturned the ban on pregnant girls, championed menstruation health, campaigned nationwide against early child marriage, and provided more support for students with disabilities. My government is working with partners to prioritize early childhood development, ECD, with a comprehensive ECD policy, curriculum framework, and ECD centers. We are also making available community learning facilities throughout the country. We are recruiting and training thousands of teachers and hiring and deploying more school inspectors to every district. If training the future workforce of this nation and making it globally competitive is called raising the wage bill, then that is good for the future of the development of this nation. To accelerate long-term quality, government has developed and validated a basic education curriculum framework and subject syllabuses, and now developing the senior secondary curriculum framework. My government will revise the basic education policy, the 2004 Education Act, the West African Examination Council Act, and the Teacher Service Commission Act. Government has also developed other policies on radical inclusion, comprehensive safety, school feeding, school health, and village schools to further bolster our gains in the basic and senior secondary education sector. We will use more digitalization and ICT for more school and education center connectivity, learning assessments, education data, and for continuous professional development for teachers. My government has introduced and will continue to gradually expand guidance counseling, library and laboratory services, home economic centers, and adult and non-formal education. My travels to foreign nations and my engagement with partners have all borne fruit. Today, our education sector benefits from partnerships with Harvard University, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, Yale University, McMaster University, and the University of Sierra Leone. We have further partnerships with Global Partnership for Education, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, United Nations Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, West African Examination Council, WAEC, the Education Partnership Group, EdTech Hub, Georeference Infrastructure and Demographic Data for Development, GRID, and NGO Consortium. We are one of the World Bank's accelerator countries for human capital development. My government will make good use of such valuable partnerships to continue to develop this country. My government will begin the construction of the University of Kano this year. My My government will begin the construction of the University of Kano this year. Invest more in skills development at the National Apprenticeship Scheme and ensure more rigor in higher education. All these interventions are what we mean by education for development. Within a decade, the impact of these investments will be evident. Science, technology, and innovation. When I instituted the first ever Directorate of Science, Technology, and Innovation, DSTI, in the Office of the President, I recognized the immense value of science and technology to help solve some of our nation's challenges, support governance, drive development with innovation, and support the shaping of the future of this nation. Our development of homegrown technology solutions during our COVID-19 fight, our national financial data infrastructure, and our use of technology to strengthen the entrepreneurial ecosystem and augment communications and operations within government all point to the immense value of innovation in governance. My government will take further measures to strengthen these gains. As a founding member of the Digital Public Goods Alliance, our country will keep in close view the United Nations Secretary General's vision to realize the potential of digital technologies in advancing human well-being, information and communication. My government, through this august body, has repealed the obnoxious 55-year-old criminal libel law. No journalist is in prison for the practice of journalism. My government is working closely with the Independent Media Commission, the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, and civil society to professionalize and ensure the free, safe, and open practice of journalism in Sierra Leone. As a result of all this, Sierra Leone has made unprecedented progress on the 2021 World Press Freedom Index, moving up 10 places in Africa and the world ranking. The National Telecommunications Commission has improved the regulatory space for telecommunication by passing into law 5 regulations governing licensing, spectrum, quality of service, type approval, and subscriber identification and registration. Mobile voice coverage has increased from 79% in 2018 to about 85% in 2020. Internet penetration has improved from 12% in 2018 to 25% in 2020. There is an upward surge in the use of social media. More media houses, more newspapers, more radio stations, more television stations are operating freely now than at any other time in this nation's history. More places can now boast of community radio stations. The Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation is keeping citizens informed about public affairs and fully involved in governance. Recognizing the ICT telecom and a robust digital infrastructure, recognizing that ICT telecom and robust digital infrastructure are cross-cutting enablers for achieving the priorities set out in the medium-term National Development Plan, my government is expanding the national fiber optic network. My government is establishing, with the support of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the EU, Sierra Leone's first national computer security and incident response center that will create a resilient and safer cyberspace for current and future generations, and especially to combat borderless crimes that are taking a great social, economic, and security toll on nations. A coherent and comprehensive law that supports the safer use of cyberspace and one that is consistent with international best practices is therefore timely. My government has initiated engagements to review the 2011 copyright law, holistically support the development of the music industry, delineate a coherent film policy, and structure the growth of the film industry, and bolster up the development of the creative industries in Sierra Leone. I believe these are massive job creators and incubators for nurturing Sierra Leonean talents and thus further rebrand our nation. Governance reform. The United States of America's Millennium Cooperation Challenge has declared Sierra Leone eligible to develop a compact in recognition of our government's performance in investing in people, ruling justly, and economic freedom. Our incremental successes for clamping down on corruption over these 3 successive years indicate that our successes are good for the image and standing of our country. Good for governance, and good for business, and good for development. My government will act to implement necessary legislative and other policy changes to fast-track devolution and local government reform. We are also working to strengthen community mobilization and local council service delivery. This social capital approach keeps citizens informed and development is community-driven. Foreign policy. Our foreign policy will continue to enhance Sierra Leone's voice, legitimacy, and representation in the international arena. Premised on the thrust of our diplomacy, we have expanded full diplomatic representation to the Republic of Turkey and the Kingdom of Morocco. My government has increased and we continue to work on increasing the level of representation of our nationals in regional and international organizations, including the International Criminal Court, the African Union, and the United Nations. Mindful of a changing diplomatic landscape, my government, with the support of the People's Republic of China, has turned sword for an ultra-modern foreign service academy to train our diplomats to advance our country's foreign policy. My government continues to deepen relationships with friendly states and international organizations, and Sierra Leone has gained a lot from mutual cooperation and assistance, especially during this period of COVID-19 pandemic, from friendly nations and institutions around the world. Sierra Leone remains deeply committed to multilateralism and to the strengthening of international systems. Sierra Leone remains deeply committed to multilateralism and to the strengthening of the international system and institutions. With our leadership of the African Union Committee of 10 heads of state, Sierra Leone will continue to advocate and canvass the African Common Position on United Nations Security Council reform. Development planning. My government has validated, popularized, and is now implementing the priorities set out in the medium-term National Development Plan. District Development Coordination Committees have been piloted in Karine, Falaba, Bonk, and Pujon districts. In recognition of my government's focused approach to development planning and service delivery using credible data, the World Bank has committed $30 million United States dollars to supporting Statistics Sierra Leone to implement the first electronic mid-term population and housing In recognition of my government's focused approach to development planning and service delivery using credible data, the World Bank has committed $30 million United States dollars to supporting Statistics Sierra Leone to implement the first electronic mid-term population and housing census in Sierra Leone. Conduct the Sierra Leone Integrated Household Survey, which will generate the latest poverty maps and statistics of Sierra Leone. Design and implement a coherent survey of enterprises in both formal and informal sectors in Sierra Leone to improve enterprise statistics. Design and implement a comprehensive agricultural census, the first in 40 years, followed by an agricultural survey to improve agricultural statistics. Modernize the national accounts and price statistics to a more recent base year so that our GDP and inflation indices will be more consistent with international methodologies, and enhance data accessibility and dissemination at both national and regional levels to ensure that decisions by ministries, departments and agencies and other stakeholders are data-driven. My government also urges all citizens and residents to participate in the nationwide confirmation and registration exercise between May 6th to July 28th. The unique multipurpose national ID card with a national identification number from this exercise will inform national identity database and make it easier to confirm and verify identity, access social services, prevent identity fraud, and ensure transparency and accountability in governance and service delivery. The digitalization of past records of vital events is in progress with support from the Irish Aid, United Nations Development Programme, and the EU. Within the framework of the G7+, Sierra Leone continues to advocate for debt cancellation to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. Sierra Leone also advocates for equitable and widespread access to COVID-19 vaccines if this global scourge is to be defeated. Social protection. My government is committed to achieving a stronger recovery and greater community resilience in the post-COVID-19 period. The National Commission for Social Action, NACSA, activities have revolved mainly around protecting the most vulnerable by building schools and community infrastructure, supporting microfinance and entrepreneurship, boosting agriculture, infrastructure. My government has argued from the outset that purposeful infrastructural projects will expand the economy, support job creation, and support service delivery right across the country. We have made significant progress in constructing over 200 kilometers of major township and trunk roads in the western area and some parts of the provinces. Among these are the Lumley-Toke Road, the Hillside Bypass Road, Phase 2, the Mayamba Junction and 3 bridges, Obanajuma Road, the Pendeku Kaila Road, the Boti Konko Road, the Wellington Maishaka Road, the Pamajuma Mano River Union and the Lincoln Wing University Regents Road. Can see the great progress that this government has made on each of these well-constructed roads. Work is either in progress or we soon start on additional critical roads in the east end of and central districts and west end of Freetown, Funkia, Godrich, Waterloo, Bow, Kenema, and Bombs. Regraveling works are underway for 40 selected roads nationwide, totaling to about 1,780 kilometers. These roads are linked by key feeder roads that will enhance connectivity and access to market and services. My government will forward to Parliament a review of the Professional Engineering Registration Act of 1990 to regulate the practice of engineering. When enacted, the law will ensure that quality standards are met at all infrastructural projects, thereby reducing the high public expenditure on works maintenance projects and the safety risk associated with poor quality construction. Government is also working with the European Union and the World Bank to replace 13 cable ferry crossings in the country with modern bridges. In response to the collapse of the Savage Street Bridge in September 2020, my government completed the reconstruction of the bridge and opened it to traffic within 3 months as promised. My government will, in the future, engage much more proactively to prevent such crises. My government is also comprehensively rehabilitating and making disabled-friendly public buildings nationally. My government has successfully planned, designed and negotiated the reconstruction of the new airport terminal project at Leone. This $270 million project by the Turkish developer, the Suma Group, will construct a new passenger terminal, a new presidential VIP terminal, a new parallel taxiway to the existing runway, a new air traffic control tower, a new search and rescue and firefighting facility, as well as rehabilitate the existing runway with ultra-modern navigational aids. This is a build, operate, transfer agreement that requires no funding from the government. During the COVID-19 period, this is the largest private Turkish investment in sub-Saharan Africa. For urban road safety, my government is considering installing 7 pedestrian bridges, about 35 traffic lights, and 500 street lights in Freetown. My government has completed the pre-feasibility study of the Leone Bridge. Design concept has been reviewed to reduce the cost of the bridge to 1.2 billion. A developer to finance the bridge construction has also been identified, and once ratified by Parliament, work will start. Transportation sector. Civil works for the Sierra Leone Integrated Urban Mobility Project are advanced, and public transportation in the Freetown area will be modernized as a consequence. Commuters will soon have a large fleet of buses, including private sector buses, transit terminals, overpass bridges, bus stops, and a large market at Leone. Marine safety and travel have been enhanced with key interventions in jetties, communication, weather forecast, and greater enforcement. Sierra Leone is committed to enhancing global civil aviation safety and security by complying with international civil aviation organizations, mandatory standards, and recommended practices. To improve road safety and the roadworthiness of vehicles, the Ministry of Transport and Aviation, MOT test, and safe driver training and test facilities will be established in district headquarter towns. Government will also develop and enforce a road user policy. In addition to anticipated legislative reforms, government intends to develop a consolidated transportation database to facilitate effective planning, coordination, and communication. The economy, money policy, monetary policy, and trade. Like all other countries globally, Sierra Leone's economy has been adversely affected by the impact of COVID-19. Notwithstanding, the government through the Ministry of Finance continues to implement sound economic policies and public financial management reforms that are geared towards maintaining a stable economy and responding to the financial, socio-economic shocks brought about by the pandemic. While we continue to implement prudent financial management policies focused on enhancing domestic revenue mobilization, rationalizing expenditure, working towards a single-digit inflation, maintaining sustainable debt levels, a stable exchange rate, and increasing reserves to support inclusive growth. Government created a 500 billion special credit facility to support the production, importation, and distribution of essential commodities. The National Revenue Authority deferred taxes due on importation of essential commodities, especially for rice, fuel, and other health supplies. Government's implementation of the National Microfinance Program, MUNAFA, to provide finance to targeted small-medium enterprises. Government also provided cash transfers to over 100,000 poor and vulnerable families and informal sector workers. Government also provided 19 billion in critical financial support for parastatals most affected by the pandemic, including the Sierra Leone Airport Authority, the Sierra Leone Civil Aviation Authority, the Sierra Leone Transport Corporation, and the Sierra Leone Postal Services. Government made advanced payment to keep public works on course and to maintain thousands of jobs in the rehabilitation of trunk roads and township streets. Government also continues to ameliorate the country's current debt situation. The resumption of operations at iron ore mines and slight recoveries in the agricultural and tourism sectors may support an uptick in the economy. Domestic revenue mobilized by the National Revenue Authority increased marginally, and we continue to do so with various revenue-enhancing measures to be implemented by the NRA, including the introduction of the electronic cash register, the International Tax Administration System, and the efficient implementation of the 2021 Finance Act. International development partners mobilized substantial resources to Sierra Leone in respect of the government's record of commitment to fighting corruption, improving public financial management, and good governance. My government has also undertaken extensive reforms in public financial management, including 1, the automation of revenue collection and management processes by the NRA. 2, strengthening the legal framework for domestic revenue mobilization. 3, strengthening of payroll management. 4, expanding the coverage of the integrated financial management information system. 5, strengthening commitment controls for goods and services expenditures. 6, rolling out the electronic public expenditure tracking survey (PETS) form and regular production of price norm by the National Public Procurement Authority to guide procuring entities. 7, establish an information management system to record, track, monitor, and report on the execution of all government contracts. 8, strengthening the fiduciary oversight of state-owned enterprises, resulting in the reduction of their liabilities. 9, the reconstitution of functional audit committees in 15 MDAs and local councils, and strengthening them to follow up on audit recommendations. And 10, continuing to provide real-time financial management guidance to the National COVID-19 Emergency Response Center, NACOVAC. These actions have maintained macroeconomic stability and transparency in public financial management. The Bank of Sierra Leone's astute monetary policy reduced inflation to single digits for the first time in 6 years. Stabilized the exchange rate of the Sierra Leone against regional and major world currencies, and significantly increased international reserves to unprecedented levels. The commercial banking sector has also witnessed robust growth as a consequence of prudent management and policies. In the last 3 years, for instance, our state-owned Roque Commercial Bank and the Sierra Leone Commercial Bank have been transformed from loss-making entities to profit-making banks as a result of massive management and digitalization. Investors who are here in 2018 are still here and doing business in 2021, and even more investors have come to Sierra Leone in the last 3 years. My government will continue to make the investment climate more predictable, flexible, and transparent with pro-business incentives. Local manufacturing has been boosted as a consequence. Even through COVID-19, the Petroleum Regulatory Agency is constructing a second petrol jetty, maintained an open market policy, developed a new tank farm to hold strategic stock, introduced guidelines for downstream activities, maintained price stability based on transparent pricing formula in spite of supply chain disruptions, and significantly improved petroleum revenue and service delivery in the downstream petroleum sector. Mines and mineral resources. Mines and mineral resources. Natural resource extraction has not had the requisite impact on developing our economy. Ineffective legal and regulatory regimes for the sector weakened the state's capacity to generate revenues for its social and economic programs. It further left mining communities poorer and condemned to live with the consequences of environmental degradation and associated problems. In spite of shrinking investment capital and supply chain and logistic constraints as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, the mining sector has remained relatively buoyant. New mining companies have started operations. Our development strategy for the sector includes revising the Mines and Minerals Act to ensure effective governance and transparency in the sector, developing shared infrastructure around mining and optimizing local participation in the sector. Beyond job creation, we want to use proceeds from mining as a catalyst for development. Fisheries. My government has put in place effective fisheries management and governance policies to achieve our sustainable fisheries and biodiversity conservation goals through a strengthened policy and regulatory framework, scientific fish stock assessment and data collection, and deterring and minimizing illegal, unreported, and unregulated activities in our territorial waters. There is now, more than ever before in the history of this country, greater transparency in the fisheries sector. On the website of the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, we now publish a registry of vessels with vessel monitoring systems, fisheries management measures, and revenue generated from licensing, fines, and other charges. My government has improved infrastructure for fisheries development, and access to international markets. I recently commissioned the Sierra Leone Fishing Company's ultra-modern fishing processing facility at Kisi Dockyard that will enhance fish value addition for domestic and international markets. To further boost fish production through aquaculture, government has collaborated with the Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, to acquire a fish poultry feed making machine. Under the International Belt and Road Initiative, my government has received $55 million United States as grant from the People's Republic of China to construct a fish harbor and its ancillary structures. Landowners will be fully compensated and all environmental due diligence will be done. The Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources will work with all stakeholders for the effective implementation of the project. When fully operational, the fish harbor will support the growth of the fishery sector. Environment, sustainability and resilience. Addressing environmental issues is critical for sustainable development. To improve environmental outcomes, government is reviewing and updating various legislations promoting sustainable environmental protection, including national reforestation and timber management initiatives, managing and conserving wetlands, and furthering community-based environmental education. My government believes that a green recovery from COVID-19 is achievable, more sustainable, and in the best interest of our development as a nation. My government will implement a number of binding, nationally appropriate mitigation actions and take necessary measures to support a green growth in all sectors of the economy. We have an opportunity to invest in a green economy that minimizes the environmental impact of biodiversity loss, waste management, and plastic pollution. We will therefore associate closely with all international actions on a green recovery. The National Disaster Management Agency, my government instituted, is fully operational. NACSA has also completed pilot registration of disaster-prone areas of Freetown, Cambia, and Pujeon as part of the disaster preparedness planning. My government will enact the National Reforestation and Timber Governance Agency Act that provides for sustainable forest resource management and reforestation. Sports. My government has reviewed the regulatory and policy instrument for sports development, increased budgetary support to sports, and instituted an operational National Sports Authority to govern and develop sports in Sierra Leone. Just over a week ago, facilitated by the Sierra Leone Football Association leadership, I met with the FIFA and Confederation of Africa Football Association presidents. The first time in our country's history the president has ever met with both leaders. We discussed sports infrastructure, the development of youth and women's football, technical support and training, and broad support for Sierra Leone's bid to host the African Nations Cup final. My government has signed a memorandum of understanding for the second phase renovation of the National Stadium and all its facilities to international standards. These will include the main bowl, posters, swimming pools, the practice field, an ultra-modern volleyball court, the basketball court, and the tennis court. Public safety and security, immigration, and peacekeeping. My government has completed the first fire stations in Kailan, Pujehu, Western Rural, and Kabbalah. Additional fire stations will be constructed in the coming year in Port Loko. We will purchase additional fire engines, recruit more firefighters, and present to Parliament the first ever fire safety policy and bill. The Office of National Security has conducted vulnerability assessment of all critical national infrastructure, including MDAs and hospitality sites, with a view to identifying security gaps and profiling recommendations. My government has reintroduced visa on arrival to ease travel to Sierra Leone, introduced a comprehensive immigration strategy, and enhanced border patrol and immigration services nationwide. Measures will be presented to enhance secure national infrastructure and borders. My government has strengthened coordination among various agencies to tackle statelessness, deter trafficking in persons, curtail the proliferation of small arms, and prevent the illegal trade in narcotics. Sierra Leone has been commended by the United States Department for its action in interdicting trafficking in persons, charging and convicting offenders. And Sierra Leone has been placed on second tier for the first time in this nation's history. Legislation will be presented to consolidate these gains. We are decongesting prisons, and we have invested more in safe, secure, and humane custody of inmates. We have maintained the moratorium on death penalty. My government believes that the death penalty is cruel, inhumane, and unusual. Legislation will be brought forward for the abolition of the death penalty. We have recruited more law enforcement officers, including a large cohort of women, continued professionalizing the police force, and expanding their operation from supporting NACOVAC and fighting transnational crimes to supporting advocacy and deterrence of sexual and gender-based violence. The Sierra Leone Police is contributing to maintaining world peace with 3 deployments of 239 peacekeepers to 3 missions: UNAMID in Sudan, OBIS in South Sudan, and AMISON in Somalia. My government is also fully committed to enabling the participation of the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces, RSLAF, in maintaining international peace and security. Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces. At the strategic level, my government is developing a defense policy framework that commits the RSLAF to both operating effectively and supporting national development. My government is constructing accommodation facilities, rolling out a 5% salary increment over 3 years, expanding the mandate of the Armed Forces Technical Education College, investing in the Armed Forces Agricultural Unit, and establishing a full-scale Army Engineering Unit. To expand defense cooperation that will enhance the capacity of our armed forces, I have authorized the appointment of defense attachés to our missions in the United Arab Emirates and the Republic of Turkey. Labor and social security. My government has harmonized and enforced labor laws, maintained a close eye on worker migration, monitored occupational health and safety, operationalized a centralized employment exchange and a work permit bureau, and successfully arbitrated industrial relations disputes. Following a technical audit, the National Social Security and Insurance Trust, NASIT, will soon appraise its entire portfolio, placements with commercial banks, equity companies, shares and stocks, debentures, and real estate, and new investment opportunities. NASIT services will also migrate to a fully functional, web-based integrated biometric pension operating system. The NASIT Act will soon be reviewed to enhance compliance with best practice in the administration of pension funds and for long-term sustainability of the social security system. Tourism. Tourism is critical to the economic diversification and job creation. In spite of COVID-19, my government has engaged partners and local communities to produce a tourism asset register, develop ecotourism and other tourism products, clean and beautify beaches, provide skills training for entrepreneurs and stakeholders in tourism, and to take other steps to promote tourism in Sierra Leone. All African American brothers and sisters have laid their rightful claim to Sierra Leonean citizenship through genealogy. They bring immeasurable advantages to our country. The homecoming of beauty pageants and the reapplication of the organizers of the Budapest to Freetown rally are solid votes of confidence in our country as a tourist destination. Youth policy. My government sees the youth bulge in Sierra Leone as an opportunity. Hence the heavy investment in human capital development at all levels. As a demonstration of this commitment to build the capacity of youth, as a demonstration of that commitment to build the capacity of youth, job creation, and generate new career pathways for youth, my government has revised the national youth policy and developed a 5-year sector strategic plan. Even during the COVID-19 pandemic, hundreds of youths have been engaged in various farming activities, trained in various entrepreneurial and business management skills, and government has worked with development partners on employment promotion initiatives. Youth population have been involved in the de-risking initiatives, anti-SGBV campaigns, and in civic engagement on peace consolidation, violence, and drug abuse. My government constructed and fitted 70 fishing boats with outboard engines, navigational equipment, and accessories at a total of 5.5 billion leones to support youth employment and empowerment in 7 coastal districts and communities. To support youth livelihood schemes, my government has constructed 10 car wash centers in the western area. The further 28 car wash centers are being constructed nationwide. This initiative will create households for thousands of jobs for the youth in this country. To date, the National Youth Service has trained and deployed over 1,000 graduates as service corps to MDAs for internship opportunities. Several youth training programs will focus on providing disadvantaged young women and girls with a digital learning and resource center where they will acquire skills in entrepreneurship, financial literacy, transformational leadership, and social change and business startup funds. Increasing energy access. My government sees vigorous energy sector reform as critical to economic growth, health, and social well-being. More households are now connected to the grid than in 2018. We have increased electricity generation and transmission capacity over the last year. We will augment generation capacity with 87 megawatts of confirmed investment in the sector. And we will soon commission a 6 megawatt solar park in Newton. Electricity supply has been restored to Lunsa. 39 communities are to be electrified along the CLSG West African Pole's 225 kV transmission network, including Zimi and Poturu in the south. Mahamakuram and Jayama in the east, Nimikoro included, and Masimbi, Bumbuna, Matotoka, Kamalu, Kamapiri, We now generate sufficient electricity in Freetown. But we inherited a defective, decadent transmission and distribution system that is incapable of evacuating and transmitting power that is generated. This is made worse by the deliberate vandalization by ill-motivated citizens of transformers and installed equipment. Therefore, let me state that citizens who are engaged in such vandalization activities will face the full force of the law. With support from the World Bank, my government is currently addressing the perennial problem of load shedding and massive inefficiencies in the power evacuation and distribution in Freetown by expanding or upgrading the 33 kV, 11 kV grid in Freetown. Distribution transformers and lines are also being installed in 33 unserved communities. The vendor supply process for electricity meters means meters are now easily available. In collaboration with partners, we have commissioned 50 rural mini-grids and 4 smaller pilot systems in 54 chiefdoms with 8,000 household connections in beneficiary communities, and another 44 mini-grids are being developed in 44 chiefdoms in the country. Planning and rural electrification units have been set up to supervise rural electrification activities, develop regulations, and develop cost-reflective tariffs. The electrification of 7 district towns, Kabbalah, Kambia, Moyamba, Kailam, Pujeong, Bons and Matru, is well underway. Phase 2 expansion of the Bumbuna electricity dam is also in progress. Access to water. My government will present legislation for the better management of interventions in the water and sanitation sector. Additional measures have been developed for dam safety, water use and catchments, groundwater use, pollution control, water consumer services, and service provider reporting rules. With support from the World Bank, my government is rehabilitating the water treatment plant at Babadori Dam and installing a 4-kilometer distribution network for improving water supply to Bangbaila, Malema, and Kaningo communities. With funding support from the Millennium Challenge Corporation, we have started universal water metering in the western area with near completion of water kiosks, 5 in Aberdeen and 6 in Kintown, and the installation of 5 kilometers of distribution pipelines. Government is also installing gravity-fed water systems across several communities in Waterloo, Mambo, and Hamilton, and additional gravity-fed water systems in Kono, Kwenadugu that will serve thousands of citizens. Government has procured 13 Bowsers to support community water supply efforts in poorly served areas in Freetown during the dry season months. A 6-tank rural water supply project funded by my government will benefit 1.5 million citizens around the country. It will rehabilitate, optimize, and expand existing water facilities such as water intakes, treatment plants, transmission mains, distribution networks, and metering. Solar-powered boreholes with stand posts and distribution lines have been installed in various communities to serve thousands of people. More measures will be taken to increase access to potable water. Land reform and housing. My government believes that land reform should focus on legally framing and safeguarding rights within the context of tension between formal and informal customary rights, streamlining and modernizing land delivery, encouraging the sustainable use of land and responsible investment, maintaining a coherent database of all land, and providing fair mechanism for land dispute resolutions. My government's position is that Sierra Leoneans who wish to invest in land should have land available to them without hindrance or discrimination. My government intends to tackle the urban housing problem by using a private sector-led ecosystem of reforms, innovative designs, and financing reforms. Safe and affordable housing is supportive of human capital development priorities and aligns with our country's aspirations to meet the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDG 11. National cohesion and democracy. Legislation that establishes an independent commission for peace and national cohesion has been ratified. The National Commission for Democracy and the National Council for Civic Education and Development are leading a civic-oriented activity, activities aimed at fostering good citizenship that is favorable to the functioning of our democracy. The National Electoral Commission has developed a strategic plan with 10 pillars that support transparent and credible elections within international best practices. Sierra Leone can further strengthen and consolidate its democracy with minority populations and communities when minority populations and communities are represented. Measures will be considered for making our democracy more inclusive and more representative. The government has constituted a technical review of the white paper on Justice Kawan Constitutional Review Committee. Key provisions that strengthen our democracy and protect human and constitutional rights of citizens will be fully considered. Institutional effectiveness and reform. Government remains committed to strengthening public sector institutions and public service delivery. A public service bill will be brought forward and my government will review the Civil Service Code. In the changing world of technology, government remains committed to automating the recruitment to retirement process of personnel across 80% of the civil service. To enhance institutional effectiveness, the Ministry of Planning and Development will normalize performance management assessments to include departments, agencies, parastatals, and state-owned enterprises. Management and structural reviews of MDAs have been undertaken with a view to proposing necessary strategic alignments. There is progress on establishing a wage and compensation commission. judiciary, justice sector reform. Every citizen should benefit from a fair, impartial, and effective justice system. My government has supported the appointment of 15 more High Court judges and 11 more magistrates. There are now regular High Court criminal sessions in Pujeung, Tonkolili, Bonth, Cambia, Koinadugu, Kailam, Moyamba, Putloko, and Kono districts. More qualified women now serve in senior management positions in the judiciary. These include the Master and Registrar, Court Operations Manager, Human Resource Manager, Deputy Master and Registrar, Court of Appeal Registrar. Added to them are 2 female judges in the Supreme Court, 5 in the Court of Appeal, and 5 in the High Court. Through constitutional review, the High Court has been divided into 8 divisions with 3 specialized courts adjudicating corruption cases, dealing with industrial and social security disputes, and handling sexual offenses cases. Digitalization of court processes is ongoing. Case loads are now lower, and prosecution and conviction rates have improved in all courts. My government has improved the landscape for commercial law by acceding to international instruments. The Small Claims Commercial Court has been set up to fast-track cases in magistrate courts with claims of under 50 million leones. Gender, women's empowerment, SGBV, social welfare, and human rights. My government will take more action to protect especially women and girls from sexual and gender-based violence. The Child Rights Act of 2007 will be updated, and a national street children strategy will be presented. More measures to concretize and operationalize the gender equality and women's empowerment policy will be presented. Over the coming year, women's empowerment programs will be a priority. As a consequence of our concerted action to fight SGBV, Sierra Leone is now among 9 countries in the world to serve as board member for the Women, Peace and Security and Humanitarian Action Compact. Sierra Leone has also clinched the presidency of the UN Women Board, a UN entity for gender equality and women's empowerment. My government has also consented to sponsor a UN resolution on a survivor's bill of rights for sexual and gender-based violence. Measures to address disability, including addressing stigma and discrimination, inclusive education, socio-economic empowerment, innovation and technology, disaggregated data, and women with disability will be presented. We will also act to maintain and improve on our enviable global reputation for peaceful interfaith coexistence and religious tolerance. Mr. Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, additional measures will be laid before you. I implore us all, on the occasion of the 60th anniversary of the independence of this nation, to unite our country around values of discipline, fairness, equal access, equal opportunity, respect for diversity, and more that makes us Sierra Leonean. On that note, may God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, grant us wisdom and grace during this legislative session. Thank you all. God bless you all, especially you at this time. God bless you.
Thank you.
It's not for long.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, His Excellency the President, we want to thank you. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, sir. The Honorable Vice President, Mr. Speaker, my Lord the Chief Justice, Her Excellency the First Lady, Ministers and Deputy Ministers of Government, Honorable members of this distinguished House, Your Worship the Mayor of Freetown, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency's address will now be received by the Leader of Government Business. She laid on the table of this House for a 5-day debate on the motion of thanks to His Excellency the President. May I now invite the Honorable Matthew San. Thank you very much, the Honorable Leader of this House. The Honorable Vice President, sir, Mr. Speaker, my Lord the Chief Justice, the First Lady of the Republic, Ministers, Deputy Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament, Your Worship the Mayor, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, after the national anthem, His Excellency the President will leave the chamber. He will be accompanied by Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the Majority Leader, the Leader of the Opposition, together with the Honorable Vice President and the First Lady. And His Excellency the President we leave for the Speaker's suite. So, honorable members, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, immediately after the national anthem, the Executive Excellency, the President, the Honorable Vice President, the First Lady, accompanied by the Speaker, the leaders, please patiently wait in your places for Mr. Speaker to return and adjourn this sitting of the House. Please wait in your respective seats. Exactly. I thank you.
The President has just left the chamber of the Well of Parliament, and he's gone to the presidential suite where I suppose he'll have some rest and possibly some drink. And we're still in Parliament here where the President has just delivered his speech. I think this is arguably the shortest he's got so far, and we're waiting on the leaders of Parliament who will be coming in to speak to us later. We'll get back to you soon, and as soon as we get the speakers. Members who are singing their victory song. Just after the President left, that's the APC members of Parliament singing their victory song. And we're still in the Well of Parliament. We're waiting to see if we can speak to the leader of the opposition, Honorable Choimaba, as well as the leader of C4C, as well as the leader for NGC. The President spoke about economic diversification. He spoke about the construction of the Lunge Bridge. He spoke about the environment. He spoke about youth employment. He touched on every area of what his government has done and what his government will be doing. The President went with the Vice President and his wife, the First Lady, Fatima Bio, and he was accompanied by the Speaker, the Clerk, and the leadership of the House of Parliament, who we are looking forward to speaking to on their return. We are watching AYV television. It's been a days-long event from this morning until the afternoon hours as we broadcast live from the Well of Parliament, where President Bio has delivered its State of the Nation address to members of Parliament who are the people's representative. The President says there's been improvements in the economy even though the country was adversely affected by the coronavirus pandemic. You're getting live broadcast from the Well of Parliament, where President Julius Maada Bio has just delivered the State of the Nation address. We're still waiting for the leadership of Parliament, the opposition leader of APC and that of NGC and C4C, to speak to them on their reaction to the comments made by the President. And ministers were here as well, and I can see in their faces when the President was mentioning their areas, their own ministries, their own department. Most of them were smiling, especially those who were receiving applause from the crowd here, the members of Parliament as well, who in some way were applauding those who they believe have done some work. One actually was saying the JJ Safari, Minister of Finance, should stand up so that they can clap for him because they believe he's done well when the President went to the economic issues. And when the President started to speak about electricity, they also were jokingly making comments, especially from this other side, the APC side. They were jokingly making comments about the Minister of Energy, Alhaji Kanjasise, who is also seated here. The Minister of Development is here, the Minister of Tourism, the Minister of Information, the Minister of Mines, the Minister of Local Government. We have the Attorney General and Minister of Justice as well. The Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mamadi Gobe Kamara. The new Finance Minister, Dennis Vandi. I can see the Deputy Minister of Finance having a conversation with the Speaker. Seems to be coming in. Seems the Speaker is coming in.
Mr. Speaker!
The Speaker arrives again. He returns to the well, and I understand he'll be adjourning the sitting as he returns to his seat. And afterwards, we'll be definitely speaking to some members of Parliament, especially the leader of the opposition. The proceedings continue. Let's listen what we'll hear from the Speaker. He has taken his seat and asking whether there are any announcements.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, immediately after the adjournment of this House, the Right Honourable Speaker is inviting all guests with the slip of invitation to his reception cocktail in the members' lounge. So all guests, all honourable members and their different spouses are requested to honor the Speaker's reception immediately after adjournment. Staff of Parliament are equally requested to to assemble down community room 1. I thank you.
Parliament has been adjourned by the Speaker. If we can speak, members of Parliament are asking where the next sitting will happen. You know, they've been using.
We shall resume the sitting in this very chamber. Thank you.
What's next? How are you?
Honorable members, please stay in your seats.
Let me see if we can speak to the Minister of Information quickly, who's been here since this morning, witnessing these proceedings. Mr. Minister, the President has catalogued his achievements and highlighted what he'll be doing in the coming years. What does this mean for people like you who are in government? He highlighted your achievements, which is the repeal of the criminal libel law, and what you'll be doing with the cybercrime bill. What does this mean for people like you in governance?
Well, I feel very inspired to do more, to dig in my heels more. It always brings to mind the inaugural admonition he gave us, that this country has suffered for far too long. Let us be that group of men and women who help save her. So when we commit to this job, we do so with that belief at the back of our minds. His Excellency has given a snapshot of his report card. This is a snapshot because time would never have been enough to do a very comprehensive and in-depth analysis of where we have been, where we are now, and the next steps. So this has been very good.
Does this mean more work?
Yes, definitely. I mean, that's what my friends say when we are in school. They say the reward for more hard work is more work. So look forward to that because we have made commitment to our people, to the people of Sierra Leone. His Excellency the President did say that the vision is for a united, peaceful, and progressive Sierra Leone where every citizen will have equal access to jobs, to food, and to equal justice. Those are that's the vision of an ultimate Sierra Leone or Clamoto. So the struggle continues until we achieve that.
We wish you well and hope to be having you in our breakfast show to discuss further. Thank you very much.
Looking forward to tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's speak to the leader of the opposition, Honorable Ramadan Cherno Majuba. He's here. We want to get his view, his thoughts of what he thinks about the statement from His Excellency the President. You're welcome using it. Welcome to AIV, sir.
Thank you very much.
You've had the statement from His Excellency the President, cataloging his achievements and what he intends to do. What does this mean as to you as members of the opposition? Was this what you were expecting?
Well, firstly, I want to thank the President for delivering his speech. That is what is expected of me. But then basically, the speech has been very, very conservative.
In what sense?
Basically, the things he spoke about that he has achieved, be it the economy, infrastructure, and this, when the debate starts proper in Parliament, you'll hear them. Most of the things he talked about are achievements he inherited. They are not his actual achievement, except for the free education and the steps he's taking towards making sure that the education is not just free but with quality and that it is all encompassing. As at now, he talked about the feeding program. We know that there are many challenges. We hope that those challenges will also be surmounted. But the economy is nothing to write home about.
But when we say government is continuity, things he inherited.
No, we agree. But there are things that we should acknowledge as things that happened in the past, whether he had completed them or not. This is what we used to do in the past. But for the picture to be painted as if they are new, brand new, it's also a challenge. We heard about the Linge Bridge. He says we'll be talking about pre-feasibility, not a feasibility. It's pre-feasibility.
And the cost has been reduced as well.
1.2 billion is still ridiculous. We could do a new airport at Bamama, as we've talked about, and start a new city. 1.2 billion is not is not a small amount, $1.2 billion. Whether it's PPP, whether it's a BOT, whether it's if it is a grant, we will advise also for it to be invested in a place where everyone will benefit from it.
What do you make of
the environment? He talked about the environment. Yes. We know that there is a challenge in the environment. He talked about transportation. We know that there is a challenge. Many things. We hope that we will move forward from this point. But when the debate starts proper, you will definitely...
He spoke about his flagship program, which is the free quality education, which for him has been very successful with more enrollment, and they're planning to do more. What do you make of that?
We talked about enrollment again the last time. Achieving enrollment is one step. Definitely, free education is something all of us have supported and will continue to support. It's a laudable venture, it's a laudable challenge, and it's something definitely that all of us should come on board to support. There are many challenges still, many, but as an opposition, we'll continue to support government in making sure that those bottlenecks are also cleared.
The president ended on the call for national cohesion, everyone working together. As opposition, are you committed to that?
We have been committed. We are committed and will continue to be committed. We don't pay lip services for these things. When they say national cohesion, we don't want to hear words. We want to see tangibles. The way they are treating the opposition is not calling for national cohesion. When you talk about national cohesion, you must do the things that will in themselves bring forward national cohesion.
Was it deliberate not to work out today, or to some extent interrupt the president in his statement?
You know, we're not a party that enjoys working out. What happened in the past had happened, and it's hard to happen then. But moving forward, you've seen last year we're here, this year again we're here. We'll continue to support government in the right venture.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's the the leader of the opposition, Honorable Chairman Ba. He was actually talking to us on what they believe as an opposition, what they think of the statement of His Excellency the President. He thanked the President and said they will have to debate some of the issues. We will see if we can speak to Honorable Emerson Lamina of C4C. He's the leader. They had some issues with their membership. I understand, my producer was telling me that some of their members actually had to walk out because they protested that their own leader that they recognized wasn't given some recognition. So we want to see if we can speak to him. We want to speak to him quickly on some of these issues and what is his own position on the statement from His Excellency the President. We're still here in the Well of Parliament. We are in the Well of Parliament where President Bill has just delivered the State of the Union address. That's how the Americans call it, but he has just addressed members of Parliament here in the Well. We're still waiting for Honorable Emerson Lamina to speak to us on their own position on the President's statement. Honorable Emerson Lamina, you're very much welcome. You can stand this way. Welcome, Honorable Emerson Lamina. First off, I want to ask you what's your general assessment of the statement delivered by His Excellency the President.
Yes, I realize that His Excellency the President outlined his challenges within these years of governance, his intention for the coming years, and the hope that he once again reassured Sierra Leoneans in the remaining years. In a synopsis, the President's speech is hopeful. It gives us alacrity and confidence that before long, many of the things now in the pipeline shall have definitely accomplished. What touches me most in His Excellency the President's address is the package that he has for the people of Kono University. University. Okay. This is a correction of historical injustice. Remember, we are formerly tagged as the breadbasket of the land. Formerly, we lack this facility. When a child reaches SS3, that's the end. That child should now assume that I'm not educated. Gone are the days of when SS3 education will just be the apogee. This time around, benefiting from a university without prejudice, there will be no need now for us to go in search of education to the south, to the north or western area.
The president also spoke about mining. You're chairman of the mines committee, and he touched about is how we should benefit as a nation from natural resources. What do you make of that?
The president spoke as though he was a sorcerer, though he's not, but he spoke as though he was a sorcerer regarding mining, knowing exactly. He realized that the issue of transparency and accountability has been a challenge for mining, but he made Rwandans to know mining is now open. Before this time around, you only see 3 multinational mining companies. It has increased drastically. This is a hope. Our newly found friend with whom we are having nearly the Maracapa mines, they are coming on board. Kinhu is there, Wongo is there for the very first time. We have a gold plant producing gold in the Kono district, and we also have Sirat mining companies. We also have in Valuna Chidon, mining is booming. I'm telling you, there will be a change. What will create this change is the regulations that Parliament has put in place.
Honorable, I want to hold you there. We have the Minister of Fisheries. I want to put her on the spot. She's right here, and the President spoke about issues that has to do with the fishery sector. Honorable, I'll come back to you. There's an issue I want to speak to you about. Let me speak quickly to the Honorable Minister of Fisheries. Madam Minister, you had the President highlight issues around the fishing sector. There's been a very contentious issue with the Black Johnson, fish harbour and fish farm issue. What's your reaction to the public reaction to that issue?
So Leoneans, we're doing everything for your good. There is no such thing as fish farming. In fact, we close the water for 1 month so that the younger baby fish can grow into adult fish. So by the time we go back by the end of this month, we will see the growth in the fish, and there will be more fish stock in the water. So there is no way I can now bring in fish meal to catch this same baby fish that I'm protecting to become meal for either piggeries or aquaculture. That's number one. The fish harbour is a project that is very, very good for us in Sierra Leone. Currently, we have jetties, fishing jetties all over the place. We'll be able to harmonize. We'll be able to get our fuel not out at sea, but onshore. And obviously, other vessels will be able to come into our waters to do local landing. So we'll be able to encourage more. And
the project is going on.
Yes, the project is going on.
But the concern has been the environment, the areas. Most Sierra Leoneans believe, yes, like you said, we should have such project. But the area, Black Johnson seems to be a touristic area. Why take it to that place?
Well, we can go, and then you can. I think it's best that we go on the ground, then you can see. There was an article going making the rounds that we have the cut rainforest. There's no such thing. I've been there a few days ago. I can show you some photos on my phone that I took, and then you'll be able to show that the area that we are going to be using is going to be an area that will not have no contention.
That affects the environment?
No, it will not. In fact, if there's anything, we'll be probably putting a waste plant, but there is no environmental protection there. Because when, for example, when they anchor at Moritown, is there a protection, environmental protection issue there? No. When they anchor at Kisi, is there any environmental protection issue there? No. The whole reason why Black Johnson was chosen is because of the depth of the water, and besides, we have less destruction to do in terms of people's livelihood or people breaking down houses.
Won't it affect tourism?
No, it won't. I wish you could have gotten this from the minister herself. The tourism area is very much untouched. It's going to be very much untouched. Development goes side by side. Most tourists that come in anyway, they do sport fishing and other things. So I think fishing and tourism goes together.
Okay.
Both of us, our areas of work is basically around the waterways and the coastal areas.
Are you collaborating with other agencies on this?
Yes.
Okay. Finally, with the reaction from the public, will government have a second thought on this?
I don't know. I have to engage the public. Maybe the public reaction is because they haven't got exact information on the location. But as I've told you, I've got pictures from my phone. The location itself should not really be a place that has
So
got
we're extending an open invite to you now, Madam Minister, to have you on AYV TV to explain this further, because we've got a lot of viewers who've been asking questions.
I think first of all, let the process take place. Let us go to the community and engage people, and then from the community we'll be able now to deliberate on whatever issues. If we sit in the offices and we sit around in the corners and just out of thin air start complaining, we will go to the ground itself and see what is the impact. Yes, I think that is the best way forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Minister. We appreciate your time. We'll follow up on this matter with you, and like you said, we'll definitely discuss it further. Thank you very much for your time.
Are you live?
Yeah, we are live. We are live on TV. You wanted to show viewers the video? We are live. Okay, I've seen the
but
photos.
These are places that have got no, but you don't see houses.
Yeah.
And where they started building, this moratorium have been there for over 2 years.
Okay, so no problem, Madam Minister. I will continue the discussion. Thank you very much for your time. Let's finally engage the Honorable Emerson Lamina. He's speaking to my colleagues. He's speaking to some journalists, clarifying some issues. Let's quickly try to speak to him and get his reaction. We're still broadcasting live from the Well of Parliament, where the President has just delivered his address to members of Parliament and the people as well, because